Good morning, I'm Prairie. I'm with HomePro Technologies, and the title of the session is what Realtors do for home buyers. And what I can tell you from a lot of personal experience, many years in the business of home protection and new home construction, is that Realtors are incredibly valuable. They provide a service that you can't even give it 10 or 15 minutes to describe all the things that they know and all the people that they bring to you with a wealth of knowledge to help you to find the right home, the best home for you, and how to get it financed, and the right amount of rooms, etc. I'm trying to get closer to here. And the neighborhood, and there's a lot of things that they know that are very, very helpful. My position at HomePro Technologies is area manager. My experience is about a decade in the home security business. I was formerly with Brinks Home Security. What I brought to the table at HomePro is a better understanding of protecting homes and a better perspective on the different devices that are used to help protect homes, surveillance, cameras, etc., sensors in windows, glass breaks, motion detectors, and things like that. A lot of these homes that you're going to look at might have an existing alarm system. So I can provide through Wendy, I'm basically a vendor for her to support her in doing an inspection of those homes and seeing what systems are in there and in providing solutions going forward. We also do structured wiring and low voltage. So a lot of homes in this area we wired. We actually put the data and phone lines, the media rooms, the speaker locations in those homes. So we're here for you. Any questions you have on that side of the equation. Just a better understanding of what you've got in the home. Again, how a real estate agent helps you is to provide you with professionals that can inspect your home, not just for the alarm, plumbing, roofing, HVAC, all these different trades and skills. We have great networking groups, and that's one thing I've done for many years is network. So we all combine our efforts together to help provide you guys with a great experience on buying a new home and giving you all the information of what you're buying and options going forward. That's pretty much all I have to say. Our booth is in the main area. When you come in, we're to the left with Wendy. We're right next to her. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Come on in there and shoot your questions. Thanks.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, good morning, everyone. Today I am here to speak with you about what a realtor does for you and why purchasing the biggest purchase you'll ever make, why we are vital to that. I think it's a lot of misconceptions because homes are so available on any website out there that people feel that, oh, I can do this on my own. And statistically looking at homes, you can go and you can search and you can scan the internet and all of that good stuff. But realtors are so much more than keys to the doors, because seeing a picture online and walking in the home sometimes are two different animals. So I'm here to talk with you today about what do realtors bring to the table and what do we do for you? What are our fiduciary duties to you as a client? Versus you going out there at every little sign you see for sale by owner. So you've got an owner that don't know the contract and you got a buyer that don't know the contract. So good luck with that. We're there on your behalf to negotiate, to inform, get you into the knowledge of what real estate, and education is a big key of that, guys. So my thing is this. Let me start by just kind of introducing myself and kind of telling you a little bit about me, because I want you guys to feel comfortable. I'm going to talk for about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm really here to answer you guys' questions about homeownership, okay? So my name is Wendy Barton. I am a Stanfield realtor locally right here in Grand Prairie. I've been in the business for going on 15 years now, and it didn't take me long after getting into real estate to figure out that it didn't matter how good or bad I was if my client can get in a home. So at that point, I got licensed as a local loan officer as well, because I wanted to find out what makes this person qualified and this person isn't qualified. So my broker was good enough to allow me to wear both licenses for 4 years. And then I found a loan officer that is out of this world, and that's who I work with currently to this day. But before I became a realtor, I was just like you guys. I was a consumer. 20 years ago, I was a consumer. And I just wanted to not live in an apartment anymore. I just wanted a house so bad, I was willing to do anything to get it. But unfortunately, there was no loan officers or lenders out there that was helping me. And guys, this was before the internet. The internet was just getting started. They had AOL broadband, and a whole lot of us didn't have computers or know anything about them. So that wealth of knowledge was not here 20 years ago. And my credit was horrible. It doesn't matter why, it just was. So I bought a home. You know how I'll take a football field, and you never played the game before, and the ball just happens to tumble out of somebody's hands, and then you trip and you fall into the end zone? That's pretty much how I got my house. Everything that could have went wrong, went wrong. No one helped me. No, the realtors wasn't educating me. I didn't know what none of the forms were. They were just saying, hey, sign here, sign there. And at the end of the process, I spent over probably in the neighborhood of $19,000 to get into a home because I didn't get the help that should have been there. Understand that realtors and loan officers were licensed for a reason. We should be held to a higher bar, okay? So let me just kind of wrap this up, and this will kind of bring you into speed with what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. Anyway, I got a home. I was the happiest person in town. Finally, after all these years, I got a home. And needless to say, you know, that was the happiest moment of my life. But 3 years later, I actually went into real estate, and I didn't know that I was not informed the way I should have been. So when I became a realtor, my question was, is so many realtors out here, what's gonna make me different? What is my niche? And it was very quietly consumed to me, don't let people go through what you went through. Educate, inform, take classes, always stay on the cutting edge of helping people find their homes. So guys, today what I'm going to talk to you about is from A to B, finding a home. A lot of people will say, and it's not that I disagree, but they'll say, hey, get a pre-approval, that's the first step. I say get a realtor. And the reason why I say get a realtor is because a realtor already has a team. We already got the loan officer that we know that's going to close that loan. We got the title company. We got the insurance. We've got all of this at your hands, at your disposal. We already have the team because we need the team to make it work. So let's say that all of you guys are in here and, hey, I'm ready to buy a home, right? The first thing that I would say to you guys is find your realtor. The fiduciary duties of realtors versus if you're just a client. And I know that sometimes, guys, when you go and see a realtor or you call a loan officer and they say, hey, you're not qualified yet, you know, or we ask as realtors, have you been pre-approved yet? Because the reason that we ask that, guys, is there's no place to really start until you're pre-approved. What are we going out to look at if we don't know how much you are qualified for? That's why that is a big key. It turns a lot of buyers off, and I think, guys, it turns you off maybe for 3 reasons. Number 1 is fear. I don't know my credit, but I know it's bad, but you don't know it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is finding out and getting with a realtor and a lender that's going to help you, give you the recipes of getting that where it needs to be. And they should be able to look at that credit score as a lender and tell you exactly what is it that I need to do in order to get my credit where it needs to be at. And then, guys, this is something we can help you with. Just do it. Just do it. So the second thing is, like I said, fear, and then, you know, it is your score. And the third thing is money. And there's so many bond programs out there right now. And these bond programs are free money. It is free money to help you with closing costs. So they've got a couple of the bond people here today. I work with all of them. That's about 80% of my business is helping first-time home buyers. And guys, guess what? Even if you got a home and you want to sell a home and buy another home, you get the bond too. So it's not just for first-time home buyers anymore. Even if you have a home, you can still sell your home and get a bond today. The third thing that I wanted to kind of go over just a little bit is the scores. You know, because that's the biggest thing, is some criteria that's going to have to take place in order to get that bond. And the number one criteria, guys, is you got 3 scores. We don't care about the highest or the lowest. It's that mid score that we're looking at. And that's got to be 640 or higher. Now, they do have some bonds at 620. It's got a whole nother criteria of steps. And your DTI, which is debt to income ratio, needs to be at a certain percentage as well. But any lender can explain those items to you. The second thing that you have to have is a home inspection, which you should never be buying a home without a home inspection. And last but not least, you'll have to take a 6-hour course in home education. I think that's good. And they also give that for free. Okay? So the biggest step to all of this, guys, is working on the credit and getting with a lender and a realtor that will help you get that resolved. Okay? So again, with agents, let me just kind of go over some of the things that I talked about. They already have a team for you. Okay? The next thing is walking through the steps. When you come to a realtor, let's just say that we get you pre-approved. You've worked on that, you've got it to where it needs to be at. At that point, you're going to get the pre-approved issued to you. And that pre-approval does 3 things. Not only does it check your scores, find out, hey, work on this, work on that, but it also tells us if you're qualified for the bond or not. Okay? And then the biggest thing is how much are you qualified for? So those are the big steps. Once we get that out of the way, the realtor's green light can come on. Because the smallest thing in my job is looking at houses. That is the smallest part of a transaction for me. However, we're going to spend a lot of time with that because right now, guys, for the last 4 years, we've been in a seller's market. And not only are sellers getting what they want, they're getting over and above what they want. Okay? So it's a very aggressive market right now. And I always tell my clients to start, you're going to need anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 to get started. Why? Because the first thing that you're going to need to do after we write the offer, that's the other big thing with the realtors. We are your negotiator. We are writing those contracts. We are educating you guys. We are right there with the inspection. We're going to be right there with you to go through what things we're going to ask to have fixed, what things are, hey, these are cosmetic. We're going to give you those keys of knowledge. But let's just say that now you're pre-approved, we're out looking, we've been looking for 2 weeks, and we finally got an offer that the seller has accepted. The next crucial thing, guys, and this is a time frame of 2 days. You must have your earnest money and your option fee to title or to the buyer, to the seller. Let me explain earnest money. Earnest money is just a down payment on your closing cost, and it's held by the title company, okay? And that's to say that, hey, I'm vested in ownership of this property. So I'm going to put a down payment down. And the option fee, guys, is there for you to give you a certain amount of days to get that inspection and negotiate with the seller on, things to be fixed, those sort of things. So it's going to it's really for your inspection time to make sure that, hey, do I want to buy this house or do I want to run the other way? That'll let you off the hook by giving a certain amount of fee, normally $100, but it could be up or down from that. And it allows you to say, hey, I don't want the house, and you don't even have to really give a reason other than, hey, I'm invoking paragraph 23 to say I don't want the house anymore. You will get your earnest money back. The option fee check the seller will keep. Okay? Once we get past the inspection, guys, y'all got to understand that inspectors are going to be there to inspect your homes. They're going to be there for 2 to 3 hours. They only need you there the last 30 minutes because they want to go over a report and pictures to show you everything they found in that home. And by most part, you really need to be there. Otherwise, the report will be emailed to you, okay? Once you get through the negotiation, you talk with your realtor and y'all decide, okay, we're gonna ask for this, these things over here are very cosmetic, and we move past that. The next thing is going to be the appraisal. The appraisal is not for really the buyer or the seller, it's for the lender, because he's got the money. So let's just take for an example, we got a $150,000 home. And the appraisal come back, and it's $165,000. We're still only going to pay $150,000 because that was our offer. But now let's talk about, it came back at $145,000, now what? Well, here's the bad news. If the seller does not want to sell his house and he feels that his house was worth $150,000, he can say, no, I'm not selling it for $145,000. You either come up with the money out of pocket or I move on. Now I'm going to tell you guys 95% of my experience. If it's $10,000 or less, it's just like, let's just get on with it, because really it's not your fault as a buyer that that house did not come in at value. It just, hey, they compared it to all the other houses in the market and yours come up to $145,000. So again, that's your seller negotiating on your behalf to say, hey, here's what it is. The lender is not going to lend them any more money because it's his money that you're getting the loan. And they're not going to go over the appraisal. So that's the reason for them doing it, is to make sure, hey, if I'm going to give you this loan, the house better be that or more. So a lot of times the seller will come and say, hey, do you got some money out of pocket you can add to this? And then most of the time they understand that, hey, they're getting a loan and this is the situation. But I do want to let you know that a seller can back out of buying a home if it comes in low. But if you have a good realtor and a great relationship, with that person, 9 times out of 10, guys, I've only had that happen once in my career out of 15 years. So you can just take for that what you will. But normally they understand that. The next thing, guys, is getting all of your other things in check, because you know that you have to get certain items to the lender. They have a list of that, what the needs list is for that. At that point, now you want to start looking at home insurance. You're going to want to start looking for also vendors that you're going to need when the house closes. Now, we'll tell you when your closing date comes. Make sure, guys, you'll set aside about 45 to an hour at closing. You'll be signing over 40 to 60 documents. Some, same thing you sign with the loan officer, okay? Make sure you bring a valid driver's license. Nowadays, most title companies are asking that instead of bringing a cashier's check, that you wire the money the day in advance, okay? Because that will delay you guys in getting funded for that home. So make sure that you know the title company, you know the address, and you know that, hey, I got the wiring instructions and my money there the day before closing. Those are all good hands to make sure that you do. And that is pretty much just a kind of simple paraphrase of how you get from A to B with closing a home. But the main thing that Grand Prairie wanted me to do today was to answer questions from the audience. And that's what I'm here for today, is to, guys, kind of answer your questions on what questions you guys have in getting started with buying a home. So I've got her in the back, and guys, just raise your hand and she will be right there to get to you. Go ahead.
I've noticed that a lot of sellers say they're not going to make repairs, they're just selling as is. And for a new home buyer, how would you, as a real estate agent, help negotiate those type of items?
Well, that's a great question. I just had that happen actually. I just had a client, 2 years. She's been waiting to get into a home for 2 years. We were out here looking for our home, but she had a limited amount. So it becomes harder when you got investors and everybody else out here in the swarm of things. The seller is looking for the best offer they can get, and they are getting over and above what they want. So to answer your question, we signed a contract. The agent called us and said, hey, we love your offer. We are going to work with you. After she signed it and it was executed, oh, by the way, you're going to have to buy the house as is. I'm never good with that, guys, because I'm not good with that if I was buying the house. Okay? So what I did was, to your point, is I asked her, hey, are you kind of open? I know that, because what she came back was, we're selling it as is because we don't want to do all these repairs and then it comes in less than what we want. I said, and you know, me and you don't have the answer to that. Well, we're going to have to wait for it to come in. But basically what I told her is that me and you wouldn't buy a house that's as is. However, if that's the way the seller wants to sell the house, they have every right to do that. But as the buyer, you have every right to reconsider, and maybe you don't want to go with that house. But in this particular lady's case, she loved the home. It was a good home, but I'm not an inspector, and neither is she. So I just talked to the agent and said, look, I know what you guys are thinking. Hey, you're going to spend all your money making the repairs, and then you're not going to have anything over because it may just come in at list price. So I told her, why don't we do this? Why don't we take the as-is off the table, because it was never marketed that way, that it was as-is, and let's just let the inspection come back, and let's find out what we need. And guys, this is where you've got to be smart. There are certain things that needs to be done, and I've got my top 5, and my top 5 with any client is roofing, foundation, electrical, plumbing, and AC. If those are big ticket items, and if those are out of whack, seller, you're gonna have to fix those things, because they don't have the money to buy this house and then make big repairs like that. But cosmetic thing, guys, y'all got to be smart. Wendy, are they gonna paint this room? If they didn't paint it before they put it on the market, no. That's gonna be something that you're gonna have to do. But know the cosmetic versus the things that are very important, like electricity, and is that wired correctly, and is the AC actually running, and things of that nature. That's what the inspectors bring for you guys, and that's valuable information. Because number one, you need to know everything about the biggest purchase you're ever gonna make, and then choose wisely. And your realtor should be right there deciding on these factors are the most important. Let's ask for these things. And I'll tell you right now, guys, sellers are not doing closing costs. They're not doing closing costs. In some instances, it is rare. I won't say that it doesn't exist. It does exist, but it is very, very rare right now. And that's why the bond comes in, and it will help you guys with a lot of that, because a lot of my clients, they had the score, they were willing to take the class, but they were short on money. And the seller wasn't willing to give any money for closing. So that bond comes in and helps you out tremendously, tremendously. But did that pretty much answer your question? Because a seller can say, I'm not making any repairs, and mean that. And then you got to make the decision along with your realtor if you're comfortable moving forward. And maybe you need to get that inspection to find out if you are or you're not. Because remember, what harm does it do to go ahead and get the inspection? Because it might be a pretty good house. And this one turned out it was a pretty good house. And she was willing to do the repairs we asked her for. And we have not done the appraisal yet. Did that answer the question?
So in terms of like HUD homes, what is your strategy with those?
Okay, so HUD sells as is. They are the government and they tell you up front, everything is disclosed in real estate. And HUD tells you, hey, it is as is. We've already had our people come out and look at that home before we put it on the market, is why they determined what the price is. And so in that case, the nice thing about HUD is HUD will pay closing costs. They will do that. But they are an entity too, and they are a seller. So again, they're going to go with the highest, best price out there. But yeah, when HUD say they don't make repairs, they do not. Question?
I have a question about scores.
Yes, ma'am.
I know there's a lot of scoring modules out there.
Mm-hmm.
I look at all three of my credit reports daily.
Okay.
To see if any changes are made. It can be, if your score is showing like at a 700, and then we get to a realtor and they pull out credit and it's showing that it's 610.
Uh-huh.
You know, but sometimes that can happen.
Right.
What scoring modules do realtors use?
Well, realtors don't use that at all. I felt it was imperative to have knowledge in loan officing, scores, and all that kind of stuff because I came from that. I came from having a very horrific score to, as a realtor, I want to help my client on every end of the spectrum. So what I will say to you guys, a lot of you guys have banking where they'll do free credit runs for you. Some of you go on Credit Karma. Guys, let me tell you this. It's great. And I say always be looking at your credit score. I don't care if it's free, if you buy it or whatever. You should know what it is. But brace yourself because whatever you see on Credit Karma, Wells Fargo or whoever does it free for you, is never as complete and diverse as a lender. And who cares about Credit Karma or anybody else if the lender is the only person that got the money? So I guess we got to go with his numbers. It's a more complete spectrum of what your score is because you have three. Not all three of those are reporting to all three bureaus. That's why your credit scores are never the same. Why do I got three and I'm one person? Because these companies only report to Experian, these guys, TransUnion and Equifax. So that's why your scores are always different. And that's why lenders say you got three, I don't want the highest, I don't want the lowest, I want that mid score, because it'll tell me exactly who you are.
When you were talking about getting pre-qualified, is that a hard pull?
Okay, so that's a great question because I get asked that question all the time. And people come to me and say, I already had my credit pulled. Well, here's the answer to that. Number one, the government tells you as consumers to shop your loan. Why do they tell you that? Because lenders are different. Some lenders have a special for the summer that, hey, we'll pay for the appraisals. Some have a better interest rate if you do a second thing with your loan. So guys, here's what I say as an ex-loan officer. At least look to 2 to 3 loan officers and then gauge. That's what they mean by shop your loan. And just make sure. Does that hurt you? Not in the original 2-month span. Guys, but I also see people getting credit pulled 6 and 7 times, and that is lowering your score. It is doing that. So shop your loan, 1 to 2, maximum 3. Pretty much, guys, is all you need to make your decision. But as we interview you guys, because when I ask you, hey, do you have your pre-approval yet? And I'm happy if you don't. I'm more happy, really, if you don't have it. Most agents want to see that you do have it. Because I trust my team. I trust my team to get you there. So that is a 2-part question. But to answer your question, is it a hard pull? It's not a hard pull because they understand that you're shopping for a loan. But when you go out of that 45 to 60 days, then you're just really out there having your credit pull, and it is hard. It is hard pull, and it shows. Yeah. So, man, keep it to 2, 3 max. That's pretty much it.
I have a question. Okay, you said
Who's talking? Right, okay, gotcha.
Okay, you said you have to at least save up around about $1,500 or $2,000, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you said also, sometimes you have to pay for your closing fee too. Okay, so what's the total amount that you should totally save up?
Okay, so guys, to answer her question, I'm gonna go ahead and just give you an example that everybody can understand. You're qualified for a $150,000 home. Let's just say, for kicks, her closing cost is about $11,000, and it is. It's about somewhere between $11,000 and $12,000. So when I tell you, in order to start off of what you need, is because number one, you're going to be putting $1,000 down as a deposit to the title company, number one. The second thing is, as soon as that contract is executed, you got to go get that inspection. And that's going to be about $400 to $500. And they're worth every penny. So once you do that, you're already invested about $1,500, right? After we finish up with the inspection, next thing is the appraisal. The lender's going to mandatorily want that. And that's a $500, anywhere from $450 to $500 charges, and some lenders even higher. Okay? But you're going to need that money to get the appraisal. So let's just say that you got $2,000 now invested in this, and you're coming to closing. And let's say in this case you're getting the bond, and the bond is going to take care of about $7,500 of this for her. She's already taken care of $2,000. You see where that's $95, and so now coming to closing, she's only bringing about $1,500. Does that help? Okay, good deal. Good deal.
What's the difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved?
Pre-qualify is just saying, hey, you're qualified. They haven't verified any of your stuff. And guys, what you want is a thorough, hey, am I really qualified? Because all that lender did is take your application, and what you put on it, they based it off of that.
Okay, but let's say she took, I had to send her all my W-2s and all.
Check stubs, bank statements, the whole thing.
And those are pre-approved, right?
Uh-huh.
And with the down payment assistance, do I have to pay that back, or is that added to my mortgage? Say like I get down payment assistance, do I have to pay that back, or how does that work?
Down payment, guys, is 100% free. It is 100% free in most of the bond programs. Some of the city programs that they have, and I work with the city as well, they have where if you don't stay in the home for 5 years, there might be some retroactive back to them. Those are city bonds, but the state bonds are absolutely 100% grant money.
And that comes off the total price, so if the cost is $155?
No. So guys, it is actually exactly, it's a DPA, down payment assistance. It's just paying your closing costs. The 3% is already rolled up in your closing costs. People try to separate, well, that's my down payment, this is my closing costs. They're all one and the same. That's why it's $11,000. Your down payment is in there as well.
Oh, so your down payment and your closing costs
Are all part of closing costs. So consumers say, well, what's my down payment? What's my closing cost? Guys, closing costs is everything. It's everything. It's all the fees from the lender. It's all the fees from the title company. It's your down payment. It is also 4 months of taxes and 1 entire year of home insurance. That's why it's $11,000. Does that help?
Answer my last question.
Any more questions, guys? Right here.
How do real estate agents get paid?
Excellent question. Real estate agents get paid by you signing a buyer's agreement. As a customer, we do not owe you any fiduciary duties other than answering your questions and any interest that you have at our disposal, giving you that information. But as our client, we have you sign a broker agreement. And the broker agreement goes over how is the agent paid. So the reason that we are vital, and every last one of you guys should be using a buyer's agent, guys, in most percentages, and I will say about 98%, the seller is paying for us. Because anytime a seller places his house on the market with the National Association MLS of Realtors, that selling agent has already negotiated the buyer and the seller's compensation. So the seller is paying. However, we haven't talked about if it's a for sale by owner. Okay? For sale by owner has no relationship with an agent. They decided they want to sell it themselves. And so as a buyer's agent, I would always go with him or go to this person if that's the house that you want and negotiate on your behalf if he's willing to pay my commission. And if he's not, then I will share that information with you and see if you still want to purchase this home, because that's going to be 3%. So for the most part, guys, what you probably want to tell an agent and always ask the question is that, hey, I just want to go with sellers that are willing to pay your commission. And pretty much for the most part, guys, I never really had that conversation with any of my clients, because that's all I'm looking at is sales of homes that are out there that are reimbursed by realtors. Because that way it takes the money off the table, so me and you can just talk one-on-one and you feel at ease with me. So truly, in most cases, guys, buyer agents, we are free to you. We are free to you. Our services, even though we're paid by the seller, our only responsibility is you. I'll never see the seller, know him, or talk to him, but I will make sure that everything's negotiated for your best, in your best interest. Does that answer your question? Yeah, because sometimes they come, they're like, well, mid transaction, what do we owe you? You know, and then we'll have that conversation. But I always try to let my clients know up front that I'm paid by the seller. And, you know, I will even have to say with the few little home buy owners that I did, they were willing to pay because they didn't really know the contract or how to do it. And they were more than willing to, instead of 6%, pay 3% and just have somebody do it for them. But that's not going to be every case, but definitely ask. When you're looking at for sale by owner, the agent has made no kind of deal to get paid on that end, and we have to ask and then let you know. So, but most transactions are done through MLS, and they're already signed up for that. So, got one back here and up here and over there. Okay.
Hello, Wendy.
Hi.
I had a question. Several years ago, I gone to a seminar similar to this, and they were assisting future home buyers with paying their closing costs, and I bought into that. And I was looking at a new home construction with a builder, and possibly using that to help with the closing costs. And I guess because I had kind of a banking background, I noticed that on the they were adding those closing costs to my balance, and that was a red flag for me, and I backed out. What are the laws regarding that, and what is a realtor's relationship with builders now? Has it changed?
No, guys, builders are pretty much still the same. We work with all builders. So a lot of people feel like, well, we decided instead of an existing home, we want to get a builder. So I know that you don't do that. Yes, we do. And so let me be clear on your question. You're saying that fees were added and that was a red flag for you?
The closing costs, which the program that I was in said that paid the closing costs.
But I guess the question was, did you ask how much of the closing cost?
It was on the paper, on the outline, and I said, what is this? I saw that paper.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's not what I signed up for. And then I went to another builder,
Met.
Met by
Yeah.
whoever you're.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was a red flag.
But the realtor got involved.
I didn't work with the realtor.
Okay. But it was a red flag for you to back out of the deal. And guys, that's a prime example why you all need a buyer's agent. Even at closing, when working with me, sometimes lenders and title companies miss that deal. They said they were going to pay $5,000 because they were going to change out the carpet, and instead of doing that, they said they'll offer us $5,000 in closing costs. Y'all forgot to add that. So that's imperative for us as agents. Who knows the contract better than the person that wrote it? I'm the one who wrote the offer. So at closing, it is the last thing that we do is look that contract over and make sure all the terms in that contract have been met. So good for you for backing out, but yeah, that's a realtor's responsibility to catch those things.
So the agents are present during closing?
I will say for me, I'm there at the beginning, I'm there at the inspection. I want to know about the appraisal because the appraiser don't want anybody there. He can appraise the house by himself. He doesn't need the seller or the buyer there. And at closing, I'm always at my closings.
Because my realtor said she's not gonna be there at the inspection. I thought it was kind of weird, man.
Yeah. So guys, here's the thing. The inspection is for you, but as an agent, I always want my clients to know I'm right there with you. And one husband and wife, I heard the husband whisper to his wife, "Hey, she buying the house with us?" I am. I'm all up in the Kool-Aid. Because I got to get you from A to over here, and I got to know what's going on with every aspect of your loan. So I got to have people talking to me. I got to work with loan officers that's going to let me know, hey, do we got a problem so we can get it fixed early. Yes.
Okay, I have a question about, I've seen different houses for auction, foreclosed homes, houses that you want built. What is the difference in buying and the finance that you get for those types of houses?
Guys, there is no difference. There is FHA, VA, conventional. There's no, it's no kind of, if you're talking from a lender aspect, how is it different? Or just auctions, how are auctions held differently from us going out looking at homes? Is that what you?
Is it better is there a preference? Are you approved for more money if you're not getting an auction house or, is it?
No. Your approval is just based on your income and your debt to income ratio. How much do you have that you already got tied up in credit cards and that sort of thing? So your approval has nothing to do with anything except your income. How long have you been at your job? Do you get bonuses? Do you get salary? Those kind of things are the only fluctuation in your pre-approval. Your pre-approval is solid. It's just based on what do you make and your debt to income ratio.
And also, is it better to get financed through a credit union or a bank or you said loan officers?
Yeah, so here's the thing. And again, I have a lot of people, they love their credit union. I love my credit union. And credit unions are more, a little bit lower than national banks because they're held in a different level as far as the lending institution goes. So you'll find sometimes that your credit union is a better place to go as far as your interest rate. However, I will tell you most credit unions do not do bonds at all. Not all of them, but most of them don't. Okay?
Okay, before we become a client, before we get accepted, what we have to do on our, before we come to you, first, raise our credit score?
Guys, I don't have that because, see, I was once you. I had nothing other than a desire to have a house. I knew my score was bad. I knew all those things were happening. I just needed somebody to point me in the right direction and tell me what to do because I would have done it.
Okay, so do you do all that, once we come to you?
I do.
Walk us through
I do.
credit?
I do. The first thing, guys, I'm going to have you do as far as a realtor, I'm going to have your credit checked because you should know what's on your credit. It's imperative because if it is bad credit, we need to go ahead and identify it so that we can resolve it. Okay? It's not going to go away. You can't wish it. You can't pray it away. have to deal with it. And so we deal with it together. And I tell you, and the loan officer, because see, whatever, sometimes people say, well, my credit's bad, but I've been working on it. And I'm like, what did you work on? Well, what did you work on? If you got a lot of bad credit, it's a lot of that stuff that doesn't even interest the lender. That's why you need to wait and find out from the lender. What does he have a problem with? Sometimes you're paying off stuff that he didn't even care about. So it's imperative, guys, get your scores checked, and then make sure that before, we interview you guys when we're talking to you. You should interview us. And some of the key things with lenders, before you ever talk about you need to run my credit, ask them, do y'all participate in any bond programs, down payment assistance programs? Do y'all do any of those things? If money is what you need for closing costs. Another thing that I would ask is if my score is not where it needs to be, do y'all go through keys to kind of help me get it on point and identify what I need to do? I'm a visual person. If you're talking to me over the phone and you're saying, well, that TXU bill, you need to go ahead and take care of that. If I'm visually with you and we're looking at, you email me or mail me my copy of mine, because you have a right to have a copy once that lender runs your credit. And they may mail it to you, they may email it to you, but you do have a right to have a copy once your credit is ran. And to identify what they're telling you to do, and then do it. Because guys, when I tell you to do something, I'm gonna check back up on you. It's not just empty words with me. I actually wanna get you from here to there. Did that answer the question? Yes? Okay.
If the seller is usually the one that pays the broker agreement, the fees, why would a realtor require their buyer sign that agreement form?
For a buyer's. So here's what she's saying. If the seller is paying for you as my agent, why do I need to sign anything? To ensure I get paid. To ensure that you don't use me to see 20 houses and then find out your friend down the street is a realtor and, hey, that house I saw with Wendy, I'll go under contract with you. So if I'm going to obligate myself, you're now my customer, I'm going to execute all of those transactions because I know that I'm getting paid. It won't come from your pocket, but you're my first primary objective, to take care, to look after, to negotiate on your behalf. That's what I'm here for. And so by having a buyer representation agreement, guys, the real reason for that is just to make sure that a realtor didn't just spend 2.5 months showing you houses, negotiating, doing all of this on your behalf, and you go write a contract with someone else. That's why. Because it's really to stop that from happening to agents when they're working hard and they do all the work, and then you go get a buddy or pal and you go have that written up. It's saying, hey, even though he got paid, it might be on you to pay me. That's why we get it, just to make sure after all the effort, after everything that we do in this contract for our buyers, that we are getting paid. And so, of course, just like the lender is saying, hey, I want W-2s, I want so-and-so, people don't even think twice about that. So if a buyer's agent say, hey, sign this, and I'm your robot, then, it's pretty much the same thing. But that's the reason for buyer representation, and people are hesitant to do that. But I just kind of explain it in full, and I keep it very simple, and here's the reason why. So that has happened to me maybe 3 times in my career as an agent. So shame on me for not getting that buyer representation. But once it happens to you, you learn real fast to go ahead and get that. And you explain it to the client in full detail. That's the reason. Yeah.
This is the last question because we already have to break for lunch, okay?
I was wondering, how do student loans, can they keep you from being pre-approved, approved? What type of effect do they have?
No, guys, actually, yeah, everybody's got student loans, and if that was the case, nobody would be getting loans. Go ahead.
A certain way that they're calculated?
They are certain ways, guys. So if it is in where you've got it deferred, it's going to count a certain way, and each lender is different on how they look at that. But I will tell you that something just came out earlier this year where student loans are a little bit more relaxed, and you're able to get a little bit more than that tying up your debt to income ratios. But that will be checked through your lender. But yeah, it does not keep you from buying a home at all. Not at all.